What's up guys, my name is Ace, and huge surprise today that you would never guess, there were some stealth changes in the last update. I know, crazy right? Infinity Ward never does this to us. But if you guys remember from the patch on Tuesday, there were a couple weapon balancing changes. The big one was they finally made the changes to the AK-47 with the 545x39 rounds. Those were changes that were mentioned in the previous patch that didn't actually change. So if you guys want to see the details on that, a couple days ago I made a video on that. However, after I made that video, some more changes came up that were not mentioned in the patch notes again. Big surprise. And this was what I would consider to be a massive buff for the UZI with the 41 AE rounds. Now, to be fair to them at least, they did at least mention that those 41 AE rounds are now available, even though they were a week late on that on their patch notes. But they didn't mention that these were changed at all from the previous week. So maybe we can give them the benefit of the doubt here. Maybe they didn't even need to add those 41 AE rounds the week before, and they weren't in a finished state, so they were supposed to actually launch on Tuesday of this week, and this was their intended final state. I don't know what's going on here, but let's cover these changes. So first up, the obvious change here to the 41 AE rounds for the UZI is when they first launched, it was a 25 round magazine. Now it's a 32 round magazine. This was properly reflected in-game as well. It now displays as a 32-round magazine, so I've got no issues here. That's a pretty minor change, but it's also something you can easily see for yourself in the menus. Additionally, you might have noticed that they changed the pros and cons for this. Previously, it said that this reduced our fire rate, which it didn't. It actually very slightly increased it based on my testing last week. And it also said that it hurt your aiming recoil control and your magazine ammo capacity, whereas the pros were an increase to your damage and your range. Post-patch, we still have the same pros, the increase to our damage and the increase to our range. However, they did actually remove the description for the reduced fire rate, so it is now accurate, even though technically it does fire just negligibly faster than the base UZI does. So the only con now that's stated here is a loss of recoil control. However, the next thing was a very big change that wasn't mentioned at all. They completely reworked the damage profile and how this gun works when it relates to damage. So pre-patch, the damage multipliers worked just like they did with all of the other SMGs, where you have your limb damage and then you have your torso damage, and those are going to be slightly different. You deal less damage to the legs and more damage to anywhere in the torso. That's lower torso or upper torso. Post-patch, we now have our base damage that applies to everywhere aside from the upper torso and head, but we'll get into headshots in a little bit. And then we have our upper torso multiplier that increases from our base damage. So this is actually more like how many of the assault rifles work in this game. So looking at the values themselves, pre-patch, our limb damage was 30, 22, 19, 17. Now our base damage, keep in mind this is the minimum damage you can deal, so this applies to limbs as well as lower torso. This is 34, 29, 25, 22, 17. That's a lot of different damage ranges they have for it. But you can see now, up close, no matter where you're shooting the enemy target, it's going to be a 3-shot kill. Whereas pre-patch, you did have to hit him in the torso. Also, the range has changed, which we'll look at in a little bit. But next up, I want to have a look at the torso damage versus the new upper torso damage multiplier. And you can see there that you're now dealing more damage to the upper torso, and this allows you to extend your 3-shot kill range much further than previously with our regular torso damage multiplier. And then finally for headshots, we have the same headshot multiplier and a lot of the same headshot values. It just changes slightly with the base damage. Now with my post-patch testing, I did also wanted to test recoil to see if that changed at all from last week. And if we look at it side by side here, it might look like, oh, there's more recoil post-patch, but if you actually count the bullets there, you're actually just seeing the extra bullets that they added to the magazine at the end of the recoil plot. So at least as far as I can tell, the recoil didn't actually change. You just have more bullets that you're firing, and therefore it will continue kicking up more. But finally, it's time for the crazy part of this video. Here are the new ranges for the 41 AE rounds on the UZI. You are now capable of getting a 3-shot kill out to about 30 meters with this gun, which is absolutely ridiculous for an SMG. Now, keep in mind, you do have to hit those upper torso shots to get that extreme 3-shot kill range, but even your base guaranteed 3-shot kill range is pretty solid, even if you're hitting them in the limbs, whereas pre-patch, if you were hitting them in the limbs, you would get a 4-shot kill, even at point-blank range. Now, from 0 to about 18 meters or so, you are guaranteed to get a 3-shot kill with this, with the potential to stretch that all the way out to 30 meters. Then we have our 4-shot kill ranges. Once again, we have our guaranteed 4-shot kill range and then our 4-shot kill range if we're hitting upper torso shots. And then finally, we have the 5-shot kill range, assuming you're hitting upper torso shots. If you're not, then it will be a 6-shot kill, but that's a pretty extreme range that you probably shouldn't be challenging with an Uzi anyways. The most important thing with this is just that extension to your 3-shot kill potential. This is a really nice extension, and I think this finally gives the Uzi a much needed place in this game. Even though you do need to run this attachment to get that needed place in the game, it now actually makes sense where it's at. Now, having said this, even though this did get a massive buff and everything, does it really compete with the MP5, for instance, and are we going to start seeing this come out in competitive play? No, it's just not versatile enough. Fire rate's still too slow. Even though the time to kill is solid, it's not forgiving if you're missing any shots. So the way I look at it is now there's finally a great option for running the Uzi in public matches if you're trying to complete challenges for it, or you just want to use something a little bit different. But it's not like this suddenly made the Uzi one of the best guns in the game. Now, another thing I want to point out with the Uzi that they kind of screwed up with this most recent update, I'm sure it'll get fixed soon. Pre-patch, the third barrel option for the Uzi was the 16.5-inch factory carbine barrel. Now the third barrel is called the FSS Carbine Pro Barrel, which I did my testing on this, and it's exactly the same as it was before, so this didn't actually change aside from the name. And that doesn't really seem all that strange unless you look at the fourth barrel option, which is also the FSS Carbine Pro Barrel. It's exactly the same name, and I did do the testing on this, it's the same barrel. Despite what the little stat bars say currently in the game, these are literally identical stat-wise, at least for now until they get this bug worked out. This is supposed to be the FSS Orion barrel, or at least that's what it was called last week when they added it to the game, and I did my testing on that, and it is supposed to give you a 30% boost to your damage range, but now when it's named this, it only gives you the 25% damage range increase that you get with the other FSS Carbine Pro barrel. So this isn't just some kind of weird labeling error where they accidentally copied the name over. These barrels are literally identical for now. They will get fixed, I'm sure. But with that, I'm hoping that covers it for all of the stealth changes with this most recent update. Who knows though, maybe more stuff will pop up. I don't like to spread these videos out like this, so I have multiple videos on the same patch, but I'm just making these videos as I discover this information. So there you have it. The Uzi did get a pretty considerable buff. If you haven't tried it yet with those 41 AE rounds, definitely give it a go. I think you're probably going to like it. You might want to run some recoil control attachments though, just because it can get a little bit out of hand if you're not using them. Of course, though, I'd like to know in the comment section below, what do you guys think about this huge buff to the 41 AE rounds on the Uzi? Just let me know those thoughts in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.